And we are live. All right, and welcome to today's session of the DQ Labs Industry E-Meet. And today is the 29th session, and we have designer Rohit Soni with us. All right, so Rohit Soni is going to be talking about visual harvesting. It's very interesting to see what he means by visual harvesting. So it's an interesting thing is Rohit and I we go back some time, and I saw him doing something live at the Soul Sante event here in Bangalore, and I found it amazing. And so we reached out, and that's been the story for the last so many years. And I said we must uh, bring Rohit on to meet everyone here. But just, oh my God. Yeah. So just to introduce Rohit to all of you and why we do this. So let me start off with the purpose of this particular series. So DQ Labs, um, as DQ Labs, we deeply believe that design has the power to make lives of millions of people simple, beautiful, efficient, and memorable. All right. With this belief, the founders of DQ Labs, it's Sean and Umesh, both of them alumni from IIT Delhi, um, they embarked on a journey to create design superheroes. And over the last 13 years, they've mentored over 12,000 students, um, by trying to give awareness and exposure and counseling and training. And they really mentored these students to get into careers like architecture or design or fashion. All right. And they got into schools not only across India, but across the world in good schools. All right. So, the reason why we're doing this is a lot of parents and students are really unaware of what the opportunities are, what creative professionals do, and what the opportunities are. So we said, let's connect creative professionals with uh, with the students and the aspirants, and just create a general awareness in general. Um, so, so in this regard, we bring in and invite creative professionals from architecture or design or fashion, and the invited professionals uh, talk about their projects, their challenges, and how they've gone about executing their projects, and really how they've reached where they are today. So today we have Rohit Soni, who's a doodle master. He's an artist, a UI UX designer, and an artpreneur. Right? So he's India's first visual harvester. His doodles have summarized keynotes of Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Ivanka Trump, Rahul Gandhi, just to name a few. He's also visually harvested for organizations like TEDx and Adobe and Microsoft, and some of the UN events as well. But these are just a few, all right? And a little bit about Rohit. He's got an MDes or Masters of Design from IIT Bombay and a Bachelor's of Design from NIFT Hyderabad. And he's worked and consulted for various UI UX projects for numerous organizations, including Microsoft and Samsung. And he's also published papers on creativity, design, and data visualization at conferences in India and abroad. So, Rohit, thank you so much for taking the time out to come here. Um, I'm going to stop my screen share. Thanks a lot for taking the time out to come here, and over to you to take it on from here.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dion. That was amazing. I actually was thinking when you were talking about me that, wow, that actually sounds like a long journey, a long journey starting from where I came. So I'm from Haryana, from a very small town, Haryana, to all the things that you have mentioned. And it's a long journey and we have limited time. So I'm trying to like tell you the story as precisely, yet also touching upon the points which are really important for everyone to probably see and understand what was going through in my mind and how I took those decisions and what I actually took. So, Let me just start off by sharing my screen. The basic journal things with Zoom nowadays. All right, so I have my slides up, and now I'm going to share my screen. So I hope you guys can see my screen. It should say Rohit Soni with a black background. So if you can just see my screen, just give me a thumbs up. And I know that you guys can hear me fine. Okay, so this is the screen which is in front of you, and I will be talking from the window. And
Your screen is visible.
perfect. Thank you so much, Dion. So that's about it. My name is Rohit Soni, and I'm joining you guys from Gurgaon in Haryana. It's near Delhi for people who are not based in Gurgaon, but I've been to a lot of places. I've been to uh, recently. I was before coming to Gurgaon. I was in Hyderabad. Before that, I was in Mumbai, Bangalore, uh, then Hyderabad, and a lot of other places as well. So I'm gonna tell you that journey and how I created Doodle project, the story of doodling, and my own entrepreneurship through Doodle through rohitsoni.com. Okay, so let's get started. That's me a few years back with some short hair. And this is a picture I did when I was a UX designer. So I was trying to understand how we can map the facial structures to gather some information, and that's when I did this. Now I use it as an entry point for my website, which is rohitsoni.co. You will see this picture as soon as you click on the website, because I truly believe that all of us are based out of are actually product of our emotions and the way we look at the world, and that's why the way we look, the way we perceive, is actually affects everything in our life. The way we think, the way we do things, the way we act, and the way we actually handle our environment. And that's why I use this picture as an started uh, to my journey as a creative person. Let's go back in time. A few years back, I used to look like this. This is a smaller version of me. I think I was in eighth class at that time, and this is a screenshot I took in my studio that time in my hometown. So I come from a small town in Haryana, and the good thing about that town was it was a very lively town, small town, so you know each other, you have a lot of friends. But there used to be a frequent power cuts. So in the summer vacations, there used to be power cuts from like afternoons, like whole afternoon from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. There won't be any power, so you don't know what to do. So I'm talking about the times before mobile phones and internet was so popular, and you are actually left with only two things. One, you can read books because you don't need electricity for that, and second is go out and play. So that's what I spent my childhood into. I spent my childhood reading a lot of books, comics, just digging into storybooks and reading everything that was available around me, and uh, also playing games while doing role plays like this. So right now here I'm dressed as a police inspector, because I used to get these fancy dresses in my shops around my house, and I used to dress up and imagine the rules of the game and play around. So I'll dress as a cop and go and catch the bad guys in my lanes or the society of the nearby areas, right? And just getting dressed like this used to give you that persona that you are cop and you're supposed to behave something, apply your own rules, and then go and catch the imaginative thieves or the bad boys around. And it was a fantastic experience doing that, because I could express my creativity in more than one way. One was getting dressed like this. Second was making the rules, which can be creative as much as I want. Third was doing the whole play thing with everyone else, and they used to participate also. So this is something that had a profound effect on me when I was growing up. I realized that everything you can imagine can actually brought to life, and people can actually participate in those things. And that became my way of creativity for like a blueprint for my creativity for my life. So let's go back. Let's go fast forward in the future. And this is me doing some doodling in Mumbai for a shopping festival. And if you see closely the screen, there is a lady in the center. It's a doodle of a lady in the center with some shopping bags. There's some shops in the background, and there's completely random things coming out of the tip of the pen. The idea was to basically express what I was feeling around me at that shopping festival. And this one, I was doing it for someone else, not for me. So I have to also express what I was feeling and what they were seeing, like everyone around was experiencing. If you see, it sort of doesn't look like a very good drawing as such, but it have a lot of elements of what was happening around me live. And that is the essence of doodling, which I have figured out, that doodling need not to look perfect, right? But it needs to express all the things that you feel. A doodling is not a drawing. It's not something that you'll make really perfectly. Like you won't make a tree look like a tree in doodling, but your expression of how you feel about the tree, how your memory of the tree is, and maybe as creative representation of your own imagination. Okay, and why I'm telling you this, because I'm going to apply these things in my life later, and you will see like how sort of these things probably uh, help us, guiding us in our creative process. So this is, I think, when I was in my master's in IIT Bombay, and I was doing it for a POI festival, fashion festival there. Let's go fast forward in the future again, and this is when I founded my studio. It's called Doodle Project, and there's a website, doodleproject.co. You can check it out. The idea of this studio was to help everyone get in touch with their creativity. And I always believed that when I was a kid, you remember that boy who used to dress up like a police inspector? Actually, everyone, when they were young, used to think like that. They used to invent games, play games which did not exist, or someone told them, or they just played very creatively. Somehow, when we were growing up, we got out of touch with the creative sector and the creative side, and it just sort of became like a norm that very few people are creative and not everyone is creative. Everyone can be at a different creativity level, but it exists in everyone because as kids we have experienced it, and that's what this studio aims to do. And if you look at the logo, it's basically a light bulb coming out of a box. So it basically says that come out and express yourself, come out and be creative, come out and let's doodle together. And that's what the studio was all about. This studio came into light in 2018. Before that, I was working with Microsoft as a UX designer, how Dion mentioned. And before that, I was studying in NIFT as a product designer. And before that is when I was in my town in Haryana. So I'm going to give you a what do you say, like a roller coaster journey of what happened and how it happened. But first, I wanted to talk about Doodle Project because that's what we are right now in present moment. So that's something I want to like talk about first, and then I'll take you on that backward journey of how it happened. Okay, so Doodle Project. What do we do in Doodle Project? And it's really important to understand because I just don't do doodling, but also help people learn doodling and express themselves and help corporates use the power of doodling and basically apply doodling in life and work. So what you see on your screen right now is a picture of the Doodle Kit, and which says it's a Doodle Kit for everyone. It helps you free your imagination and create your own stunning doodles. So this is a physical DIY kit which you can order online and it will be delivered to your house, and you can learn to doodle from this kit. And that was the idea. The idea was everyone learns doodling at their own pace, and probably a lot of people can't attend workshops, or probably in times like this of pandemic that you can't go out that often, or you don't want to go to crowded places. Why can't, while you're sitting at our homes, learn something and revoke something that's inside us? And that's what the Doodle Kit was about. Though it was launched 2 years back, I think it is as relevant as it was 2 years back as well. So this is about Doodle a physical uh, product which help you learn doodling and be more creative. So that's the product side of Doodle project. What I also do is I take workshops, and these workshops are uh, basically on-demand sessions that we take for people. Uh, like this one is called Doodle with Sony, and if you go to Instagram and use hashtag Doodle with Sony, you can see the snippets and videos from these workshops. So on the left, I'm basically showing my style of work, which you can also see here. I use a lot of faces and a lot of abstract elements that come together to tell the picture. On the right hand side, I'm explaining the deconstruction of the doodle, like how I created that and how you can use colors and everything in your doodles as well. So we take workshops and doodle sessions to again help everyone be in touch with their creative self, and probably they can unleash their creativity and learn to doodle a bit, and also be more mindful, because doodling, the process of doodling is very mindful and it's very spiritual for me. That's what I experienced, and that's what I also help other people to experience in the sessions. So the first one was Doodle Kit as a product. The second is the workshops that we do to help people unleash their creativity. But there's also a very exciting thing that was coming in my mind, which I was doing for quite some time, and which saw the light of the day a few years back, and it's called visual harvesting. Now, what is visual harvesting? It's basically, visually harvesting the information that is available around you live. So I don't know if you're aware, but there's always information around us, whether we are sitting inside a room or we're sitting in a conference or in a music festival. There's always something happening around us. Our mind are always busy collecting information. But sometimes you're aware of that information. Sometimes it's a passive information that you ignore because you can't pay attention to all the things. But our brain is really smart, and it can pick those cues, which is really required for your mind to remember. Like, take an example of going on a trip, okay? And you go to a new place, and you go to your hotel, and then you whatever check in, and then you come out and go around the city to see the city, and then you're coming back. And even though you didn't pay attention, you feel that you are actually familiar with the place or some landmarks while you're going back to your hotel, because your brain is actually saving that information for you to follow later. The same thing happens in conferences. Why do people attend conferences? They pay thousands of rupees to attend a conference so that their mind can pay attention to the information that is being told to them. But is everything is retained at that time? Not really, because there's always a limit that we can always pay attention to. I don't know how many of you know, but our focus time is really less. We only focus on things which are either completely new, relevant to us, or are shocking. If you see the news, they keep showing it like a shocking news because that's what we want to pay attention to, even though we don't want, because our brain works like that. Taking all these clues, we thought it would be a nice idea if we can create a big tool of the information getting presented in a conference. Let's say there's a conference happening and there's a keynote speaker saying something really, really important about the company. You'll pay attention for the first 5 minutes, but what happens for the next 20 minutes is you're not sure if you remember those things, right? So what happens as humans, we in fact don't remember sounds, but we remember visuals because we're 94% visuals biologically. We retain a lot of visual memory. So let's say a doodle of a conference like this, which I did for FICCI, which is a government body, helps you retrieve that knowledge and information by looking at the picture. So if you look at this picture on the left, you will see that there's a starting point of the FICCI Arise conference, and there was opening remarks by uh, the chief guest at the time, the Minister of Education, and then there was a context set by the FICCI chairman, and then we had some keynotes and panel discussions, and then a conclusion. And that's what this doodle also represents there. So you see a lot of text there because we want you to pick those textual cues with the visuals to help you remember the complete picture. Okay, I don't know if I could summarize it very well, but it's a visual summary of the event. Okay, take it like that. And we do it live. So let's say if there's anything happening, I'll be there and I listen and I represent it live there. So this is a real size canvas. I think it's around 5 feet by 8 feet, and it's basically like a wall full of those information. And it was placed at the exit of the gate. So once you're coming out of the conference, you see these things, you click pictures, and you just sort of like, you know, visualize everything that happened just inside the conference room. And it has a lot of implications in work as well. Nowadays, I do it for meetings in corporates, and of course, there's seminars, and I've done it for music events as well to remember the essence of what happened. So this is about visual harvesting, which I've been doing for quite some time, and I have some amazing experiences doing it for a political rally, doing it for some top CEOs, Fortune 500 companies, government bodies of India, China, Dubai, etc., etc. And I see it growing as well to other areas now, and we are really excited for that. Recently, we started doing it virtually, and that was also a great experience. So I'll show you that how we have been doing something like that. Okay, John, I was informed that there'll be some questions toward the end of the session. So if you have any question in your mind, just write it down, take a note, and I'll help you answering that as far as I can towards the end of the session in some time. Okay, so this is my journey from where I started, Doodle project, and what are the three things we do at Doodle project: Doodle Kids, Doodle with Sony workshops, and the visual harvesting. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about doodling because that's something that I really work on, and how you can apply doodling in your life. And then I'm going to show you some of the recent work that I've been doing. Before this, I think I studied in NIFT as a product designer, and that's why what you see here is a product of as an outcome of my product design experience. So I studied product design and I learned how to make products. So I applied that here when I was creating this kit. Um, After NIFT, I worked as a visual designer in Bangalore, and that's when I gained the experience of how visual design or visuals can impact us and create something really meaningful. So that's where I applied visual design in all of my work. Then I went to IIT Bombay to do my master's in UX and UI design, and I learned how experience design help you see this world in a better way and makes your life easier, and which is an example of visual harvesting as well as the UX projects I have done with companies like Microsoft and other companies. So I did my master's from IIT Bombay, and then I went to Singapore as like I got an exchange program in NTU University, and I was working on a social media platform there. And then I came back to Mumbai and joined a UX company. I think after 1 year working there, I got a call from Microsoft Hyderabad to join them as a UX designer and consultant, and I joined them. And I didn't realize how 3 years passed. And in 2018, I decided to start my own studio to combine all the experiences that I've gained in my life of product design, visual design, creating experiences, and Doodle project was found based on those things. So creativity and doodling are two superpowers that I have identified that I have, and I try to use them in everything that I do. So whenever you are in doubt or you don't know what you want to do, just always make a list of the things you're really good at, and just intuitively it'll come to you what are your superpowers. Everyone is unique, everyone has their own styles and superpowers. They have to just identify those, because trust me, like even if you don't believe it, there is something that you are really good at without knowing it, and you have to identify those things and let them take the major role in your life, and side by side keep working on your weaknesses and become a better person in that process. So I identified creativity and doodling were my superpowers and how I could use them in my work. Why doodling? It's a really good question. I keep get asked a lot of times, so I'll tell you why I do doodling and how it started. So it started off in my childhood when I was in my school. I was not a very attentive student. I never used to sit in the front bench. I was somewhere in the middle or in the back, but I could visualize a lot of things when they were getting taught to me. So, like for example, I was in biology class and I wanted to be a doctor. So they were telling me how the virus of the AIDS gets into body and then how it damages your whole nervous system, right? It attacks your nervous system and what other things and happens. So I could visualize it. So I made like a like a human body and saw that and then showed that a virus is going inside and attacking. And in my exam also, in my board exams in 12th, I actually didn't write much. I actually drew a lot of diagrams to explain what I have learned in my class. And surprisingly, I got highest marks in my board results because of those diagrams. And I realized that if you can draw something and explain it with the help of a drawing, it just help everyone to see what is in your mind. Because sometimes while you try to translate into a language like English or Hindi or any other language, a lot of essence get lost. So visual has more power to show something very clearly, which a word can't and can be ambiguous. So that moment, it just made sense to me that I have to do something in visual thinking, or let's say something with the help of visual thinking methods. And I realized I saw my notebooks and they were all full of these doodles from my school. And I didn't know that time that you call it doodling. I realized it later. And I decided to make it my life. I said, I'm going to use it all my life and see how it's going to impact me. And it did. In my college, I was doodling. I was doodling in my interviews with companies like Samsung and Microsoft. And when they were giving me some assignments, I used to like doodle and show it to them what I meant, and it just helped them to see my thinking process. So please, if you have been thinking of doing doodling, please start right away. And I'll tell you three reasons why you should do it. First of all, it's fast. Like it's not a painting that you actually sit down and then you're making something abstract, or it's taking years and in fact days to finish. Doodling is a spontaneous act of drawing. So you draw what comes to your mind. It's like writing. So you take a page and you think what's in your mind and just write it down and you doodle it like this. And then people will decode all you meant inside your head. So I do a lot of doodling, in fact, like nowadays to summarize a lot of my thoughts. Like this is from a series that I was watching, and then I did this one recently on something that I was reading. So it just helps me communicate, and it's really fast. Like it takes 5-10 minutes, but it's worth it. Okay, so it's not a beautiful sketch. It's just your point with the simplest of the visual graphic that you can use. Then second is you don't need a special equipment for doodling. You need a pen and a paper and you're good to go. Like that's the bare minimum requirement you need for doodling. You can use colors or maybe some highlighters, but that's only to highlight something. Just pen, marker, paper is enough for that. It's also about you. So doodles are really personal, and that's why I say that everyone should have a style of doodling, like your handwriting. Everyone's handwriting is unique. Same way, your doodles are also unique, even though they might look same. You make the same things. It's a different style of making them. So just identify your doodle style, and they will become your extension. Just be confident about your thoughts, and it will get reflected in your doodles when you doodle it. Okay, so this is about doodling. Now, what can you do with doodling is also very interesting, because doodling is not just sitting in your class and you're just making something out of your head. But nowadays, there is a term that I use called doodle thinking. So while we're doodling, we're also thinking at the same time. And that helps us consolidate our thoughts probably get clarity, try to make sense of two, three different things, and understand a process better. And these are some of the industry uses of that, how companies use them. So one of them is brainstorming. I don't know if you have heard of this term before or if you already use it. Brainstorming is a term of just putting all the ideas on the paper. And when you do it with the help of visuals, it just helps people more. So you can do a solo brainstorming, like just putting it out on the page of paper. I've seen a lot of people doing it like this, or it can be like a group visual storming where you can like take a big board and just draw out everything that you have in your mind, and it's a really powerful tool for that as well. Second is visualizing. Now, what is visualizing? It's a really good term and cool term, and you'll see it a lot of people using it nowadays. In fact, people who are into personal development use a lot of word which is called visualize or visualizations. So visualization is something that you do in your mind, but eventually it comes out either on paper or something that you are basically comfortable with. So visualization is visuals from the future. So let's say if you're planning something, let's say if I want to, let's say, plan my tomorrow, right? Like tomorrow, what I'm going to do, it's Monday, it's a good start of the day, of the week, and what all I want to do, I'm going to sit down today and make a visual of that. But before I do the visual on the paper, I'm going to make the visual in my head. Okay, so it's basically called visual thinking, or you can say imagination. So you're going to imagine what are you doing tomorrow in a very detailed way. You feel about it, that okay, I'm doing this thing, how am I feeling about this? Let's say it could be about working out or eating healthy or finishing some really critical work, or maybe just something that you do for your self-love. You are going to visualize it, you're going to feel how it brings all those emotions to your body, and then you make that visual on the paper, or you write it down, or just maybe create a collage, like image collage in your mind, or just do a diary entry. So that is a part of visualization, which is you imagine, you create a picture in your mind, and then you express it. Like you can in fact write visualizations. It happens in your mind. You probably don't need a skill like doodling to do the visualization, but if you do it with the help of doodling, it just enhances it a little bit more. So brainstorming, visualization. Okay, storyboarding. A lot of animators do this. Storyboarding is basically nothing but slowing down the time and breaking the time into frames to see how something is happening, right? Like, let me tell you a story of Rama shooting Ravana in the navel to kill the demon, right? Uh, when I visualize that, or when I do a storyboarding of that, what I'm doing is I'm visualizing that there's a bow, then there's an arrow, and it's getting stretched, and it's going and traveling far, and then hitting the navel of Ravana and getting killed. Now, each of those frame is actually part of the storyboarding or the storyboard that you create. Now, imagine if you can do that for your day tomorrow. For every hour of tomorrow, you're actually making one box, and then making a very small doodle of how you're feeling that day, or you're doing something. And imagine like you have a comic strip of your own in front of you, that you can just go and refer for tomorrow or in the past, once you're done with the task. So that is something that you can use doodling for. Doodling is a fast way of putting ideas on paper, so that it really helps connect your one action with another action and the third action, like that. Now, what I was telling here was I was telling you an idea, and which is really cool if you can do it with the help of your friends as well. And it's called idea discussions. So you can like have bring different ideas, make doodles of that, and explain it, and just helps you just having a probably more profound idea discussions than talking verbally. That like how I'm doing. So I'm like a big fan of doodling and applying it in my life. I think it's a life skill itself. So that's something that I was doing. So the idea discussion is here, and I also keep doodling while I talk. So this is about the idea discussion. This is about brainstorming. This is about visualization and our storyboarding. Okay. Okay. The fifth one is documentation. Documentation is something that you basically, let's say you went on a travel and you came back from that travel and you want to document how you felt in that trip. So you will basically paste some maps here, probably paste some tickets that you have, your photographs, your ideas, what you were thinking, your memories, and of course, how you're feeling at that time. So Doodling is an amazing tool for that as well. I see a lot of people actually using it to document their travel, their, let's say, they watch something and they want to document that, and it really helps. Then the last one, it's called presentation that makes an impact. Doodling, like I said, is a really live action tool, basically. So you can do it live in front of everyone, and this helps you visualize that idea in front of everyone. So it's really good for your presentations when you're telling someone what to do and how to do, or how you did something like that. So 6 ways to apply doodling in your life. Like, try it out, let me know which one you like, or if you do any of these. Okay. Now, I do all of these things as part of my offering in studio because I think doodling is a really vast subject, and you actually need to do a lot of things to cover, what all is the possibility of doodling. And nowadays we're working a lot of workshops where it also helps you sleep better, or let's say be more mindful, or de-stress. We call it therapeutic doodling sessions, and it really helps people as well. So we are going into how you can combine doodling with mindfulness and the result of that, and we're getting some really good response there as well. So this one is mainly for creativity, productivity, and and organization. So that's what I've shared with you. Let me know if you have any doubts on this, or uh, you want me to give you any demo for that as well. Moving on, in respect of time, there is something I want to show to you guys, and this I think is a video about Doodle project, and it will just tell you how we came up with Doodle project, and then I'll show you something really exciting once you watch these videos. So for everyone, this is the video about Doodle project and how it came to life. So let me just do it right away. So let me show you the video here. And then I'll give you a walkthrough as well. Cool, so let's come here. So it took me a lot of time to understand what I was doing, and I'm still figuring it out there what I'm doing, but it's rather a journey than a destination. And I do understand that my tools comes from my complicated thoughts, but they create inner peace in my mind. And it's a spiritual journey, and I want everyone to take it and experience it on their own. That's why I come up with this toolkit where they can use this on their own and express themselves and become more creative in their own way. The kit comes with everything you need to get started. What I really liked about this was the simple instructions in the manual. I come from a very non-creative background, to be very honest, but this kit gave a lot of creative thoughts to me, and eventually it gave me freedom to my art, and I could explore a lot more.
So it's been quite a while that I've been using this kit. So the best thing about this kit is, like, whether you're a beginner or you're an expert, it gives you so much to learn. It has a basic instruction set, but you just retain your individuality and you get to express yourself with a new dimension you could have never thought. So I think this kit helps both the beginners and the expert, as it could have been from my experience.
So always remember that you don't need to be an artist to be creative. All right, so that was about Doodle Kit, and thought it might be a good idea to just show you guys, how we came up with this kit, and just a little bit of how doodling can be learned by everyone, because you don't need to be an artist to be creative. That's something that we believe in at Doodle Project. Okay. The second thing that I do is I talk about doodling and its impact on our lives, and that is done with the help of our workshops. And we can have a really quick look into that as well. So what I'm going to show you now is a little video about our session that we did recently, and let's have a look at that one. So yeah, I think this one. So yeah, that was a short video about what we do. Basically, it's like a collaborative doodling. We help you come up with your doodle ideas, and then together create a big collaborative doodle of that. And it's super fun. Like, I have done it so many times, and it's amazing. So that's a bit about everything that I've talked about. If there is anything else, I can show you on my website. But
Rohit, I think your sound has gone a little lower. If
okay,
you could, yeah.
sure. Oh yeah, let me just put on my headphones. Is it better now?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so in interest of time, guys, I'm gonna take you to my. Let's go to my studio website first. So this is the website which we have recently launched. It's called my studio's name, Doodle Project. Now, Doodle Project, as you can see on the screen, is all about unleashing your creativity, learning doodling, and basically a comprehensive set of products that helps you, uh, you know, uh, probably reignite your love for doodling, and also help you in understanding the benefits of doodling, like focus, uh, expressions and creativity in general. So you can come here and you can see our products, which we sort of offer, and then a little bit about what is doodling. I really like talking about it because it's such a new term that we want everyone to understand and probably know, what they can do with doodling. Then we have a weekly doodle challenge that keeps going on our website,
where you can take part in that. And it's a super fun challenge where every week we give you something, some like a cue to come up with doodling of your own. And then we like have sometimes there's an announcement of the winners, or sometimes we just show you the best ones that I liked and that we liked, and it's amazing. It talks a bit about why doodling is really important, and it touches upon like how doodling can help you with stress, creative boost communication, if you have any creative burnout, self-discovery, relaxation, and then there is an IGTV, some feedback from our Doodle community members and then team, and then yeah, this is our landing page that you can see. But I think the amazing thing is oh yeah, that's like a bit about us. But I think this one, yes. So it says why doodle, and it just gives you a very interesting insight into how doodling can help you. And this is from the Sunday Sol Sante video that Dion was talking about. So you can go and check it out here. It's there. It's about how we indulge everyone in doodling with us together in a flea market, and how that experience was really really good. So that's what you can come and read more about it. Um, and then you can take the Doodle Dare challenge, which I'll just show you now. So Doodle Dare is basically, it's a game where you can come and play, and you'll get these random shapes, and you have to come up with something which is really creative. And this week's shape is this. I think this came because of the festival season. And what you see is how people have responded to that. And you can just keep seeing more and more of these. It is just amazing how people participate and think of new things. Like if you see there's like a one shape which you have given to them, and they have come up with amazing ways to create something. Like this one is really cool if you see this one. So like it gets submitted to us on Instagram, and then it gets populated here. So you can come and see like bunch of doodlers who are thinking with the same line of challenge, and just keeps your creativity boosted up every week. And then the star of this website is the shop page, where we actually tell you about our products that we offer. So this is about Doodle Kit, what comes inside. There's a book that helps you get started from the basics of it, like starting from being a non-doodler to reaching to a point where you learn to express yourself more creatively and have your own doodle language. And I think with this, there is also a really nice kit we came up. It's called a traveler's doodle kit, and it's about how when you're traveling, it helps you. It's like your companion during that traveling, to keep giving you new ideas and make your traveling more memorable. Of course, you can read more here on the website. Then there is something that we also believe in, that you never sit idle, because the brain is always working. So even though when you're having a cup of chai, your brain is giving you ideas, how to capture those ideas is this book tells you in this creativity book. So this creativity book is amazing as well. It has some amazing nice exercises that you can do while you're having tea, either alone or with your friends, and come up with like surprisingly ideas for your own self. Then last but not the least is the therapeutic art kit, which basically uh, doodle therapy, and how you can basically during this time especially keep your motivations high, your positivity high, and how with the help of doodling and art and colors you can have a more positive future and a more compassionate present right now. So it helps you reflect on your day-to-day activities and gives you some ideas and exercises to work on to make your future more positive. It's basically you're doing your own therapy, but it's through art and doodling. So that's why it's called therapeutic art and doodle kit. So that's a bit about how we transform our thoughts and doodles into products. And of course, there's some badges and some amazing books that you can actually buy, and there's some amazing coloring books that we also offer. I think one of our best-selling one is this one. It's called Doodle Coloring Book. And what the best thing about this is that this book sort of helps you not just like color, but also like helps you think in a way that how you can use different colors together to create harmony. And what is your how is your mood today, for example, and you can doodle this color in that way. So it's amazing the profound effect of this book I've seen on people. And it's again like doodles are so crazy that it just keeps giving you ideas to think and apply creativity in your life. So amazing. I had I always keep this in my side when I'm traveling, and in fact, on my workshops, I urge people to just doodle and color, and that see the effect of it. Like do it for a week and see for your own self. So yeah, that's about Doodle project. Now, I'm going to take you to my website for Rohit Soni. I think that's what we can do in the amount of time we have, but I can always give you this link so you can come back and check out these sites later. Okay, so that's my site. It's called rohitsoni.co. And it sort of talks about everything that I have told you virtually about how I started off with doodling, the story of visual harvesting. So if you come here, it just tells you the story of how the doodling, how I started doodling, and how do I get ideas and everything like that. And then it basically says, what do I do? And then it talks about visual harvesting in detail. So if any one of you wants to know more about visual harvesting, the kind of clients we have worked with, how we create visual summaries, that's the page that you want to visit. So this is from one of a conference in Udaipur that we did for a news media conference on education. And then this is feedback we have got from some of the personalities. And as you can see, like it has been a very rewarding journey so far. And I'll show you some of the work that we have done for this is for Global Entrepreneur Summit that happened in Hyderabad in 2017, where Ivanka Trump was chief guest, and we got to do some doodling. This is Rahul Gandhi delivering his session in Pune for the youth, and I was basically capturing it live to pass on the message to the masses of what they were trying to establish and achieve. And it was an amazing way to see how doodling can actually help as a communication tool for the masses to understand what was getting told. This is from the town hall of Microsoft when the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, was talking about how he has shaped Microsoft and his book called Hit Refresh. And that's what I was doodling live in the background of him standing. So you should definitely check out this video. It captures that moments of how we did that whole thing and how he reacted to that. I got a chance to wait for Dr. Shashi Tharoor and Kailash Satyarthi for a conference. They were the guest speakers, and then you're talking about childhood education and education in general in India. And it's called RSIC conference that happened, and that's what we got to doodle something there as well. And then talking about some organizations that I was really fortunate to work with was TEDx Hyderabad, and we did this amazing wall doodling for everyone, where everyone doodled something, and they posted those post-it note on the big sheet that was there at the TEDx event, and then we created a giant doodle of that. It was amazing the way it was done. So it was again one of the doodle card activity, and then participation in TEDx event. Did something for Adobe for their leadership summit on education. I have sort of got the chance to work a lot on education and how everything is shaping education, how technology is shaping education, how government is planning education. and just been there. So fortunately, so this is about Adobe's seminar that I attended and how are we doing our panel discussions for our future of education. So that was done live there. Then Zintio is one of the research and consult. It's one of the consultancy companies on energy research, and then we did something for them for India 22 energy requirements and how companies like Cisco and other companies can actually solve that. So we did this there, and then of course one of the visual harvesting for I think it was a social media conference called the Confluence, where we had all the social media influencers like Bowen Baum and everyone, and we were doing it there. It was amazing to just listen to them and capture their, you know, thought process. And then this is the from FICCI, what I've shown you. And then this is for Dubai government on how they were planning their 2021 creative goals. So how do they plan? So this is from that event. And then of course did some virtual doodling, and we'll have a thing for Microsoft. You can check it out here. There's a lot of stuff which might be of your interest. I will just give you a little bit of walkthrough on Doodle workshops as well, and then we are open for question and answer. You can come and ask me questions. Okay. Then I've done it for some other launches as well. Like this one is a glow in the dark doodle that we did for Monkey Bar in I think in Delhi for the launch, and it was also amazing to do it for them. This is more like an informal music-based doodling, and it has its own charm that we have discovered recently. So you can check this out. I also worked as a UX designer, and I still do. I take a lot of freelance projects, and you can see about this here on my page. And then, of course, you can check more on LinkedIn, and some of the projects that I have worked on here, they're here. So you can just go and click on learn more, and it will take you to the site where you can see the project I got a chance to work on. So I've documented it here for you guys. You can go and see how I sort of worked on some of the UX and UI part of my journey. So this was during Microsoft and before Microsoft. And last but not the least is our workshops that we are doing nowadays. And of course, we do a lot of workshops virtually. But before this, we used to do a lot of physical workshops, and that's what you can see here. So we have workshops that we do on doodling, which is also divided into different sectors like imagination doodling, observation doodling, abstract doodling, therapeutic doodling, doodle detox, like that. So every doodling has its own way of doing it, the process of doing it, and it's just amazing the kind of thing we're able to do with this amazing style, of art. And then of course we have worked with some brands, and I take a lot of sessions for institutes and colleges just to give back what I have learned so far. So NIFT, IIT, NTU Singapore, I think I owe big time the education that I have received from there, the mentors I got. So I really, really feel if I could give something back, that would be really good for me. We're also doing something interesting where we're combining two different things together to create a session, which is like a music and doodling session. You can see here, it was done in Himachal for a music concert. It was on a hilltop, and we were doing a workshop there as well, based on the music that was playing in the music concert. It was absolutely a very divine, nice experience. We did something recently with Chayos, where we combined chai and doodling, and like people who were coming to have chai at Chayos, we had a very impromptu workshop on what they were feeling and what they were discussing with their friends, and we give them this amazing bag. I don't know if you can see this, and they were supposed to doodle on the bag and then take that bag with them. So it was again a very, very interesting process of doing it impromptu. Doodling for personal growth. I recently took part in a conference in Goa. It's called Life Plugin, where we did a doodling session on how you can use doodling for personal growth and probably channelize your creative energy. And that was also very, very filling experience. It was a very, very good experience to see people using doodling as a way of, self-help and also using it for their personal growth and transformation. So this is what we have been doing recently. This page gonna get more popular as we do more work. So you can come and check it out anytime. To know more, you can probably visit this page and download the catalog. You'll see a lot of stuff there, the pictures, the videos, everything that you need will help you get started from here. Recently, we did everything virtual. So this is an example on the screen of virtual visual harvesting. This is what was done for a conference, which was virtual, and we did virtually from here visual harvesting for them. Also, a lot of sessions that we do now. This is from our mindfulness doodling session, and we have like attendees coming on Zoom, and we do sessions there. So that's where I am right now in the present, and I thought it'd be nice to just share with you how the story started, and then we traveled the whole journey and reached here. This is my website. You can check more about the About section, blogs, upcoming, and of course, if you want to connect with me, please do so. My name is Rohit Soni, and this is our Instagram, Doodle Project, creative _ Rohit Soni is my personal one. And then, of course, anytime you can send me a mail. My mail ID is connect.rohitsoni. Please feel free to connect with me anytime. And I will love to help you and answer any question which I could. So with that, I think we're on time, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then maybe if there's anything that Dion want me to do, I'll probably help you with that. So yeah, now I should take a break. I've been speaking for last 1 hour.
Okay, that's very cool, Rohit. I think it's a brilliant story that you've had so far. I mean, it was very nice and insightful to see how your journey has been from one road to the other, and what's taken you from scratch to this place. Yeah, so I've shared your website on the chat, on the live chat, so people have access to that. But anyway, so we're open to questions. So anyone who has questions can please post your question. But in the meantime, Rohit, I think one of the what struck me is your online sessions. All right. How does this work when you give training with people online and you're doodling, and how do you get that feedback, and how do you communicate what you have to do through your online sessions?
Oh, I think it's a great question. So I actually had not much experience when the pandemic started of doing online sessions, but like everyone else, we jumped on the boat and see how it goes. So before that, I'm a very I'm a person of the ambience. So I used to create an ambience, the learning environment in my workshops. Then when the online session started and we thought we were going to do it online, that was a challenge, like how to make sure everyone is focused, how to make sure that everyone feels the same we wanted that to feel when we used to do physical sessions and workshops. So what we did was I created this amazing technique of checking in, wherein I asked everyone to check in. Like you check in a hotel room, you basically get your card, and once you get your card, that means you're inside the session. So you're supposed to be there 100%, probably not have any distractions like mobile or anything for the next 45 minutes. When we had our session, we had some amazing ways to indulge them with the help of music and some fun exercises where everyone was sort of participating in a way, and it just helped. And I think what I discovered during these virtual times is that like we had to sometimes wait to travel to certain part of the country to conduct some conferences or sessions. Now we can do it from here, right? Like you are in Bangalore, I'm in Delhi, I'm in Gurgaon, and we are connecting right now, which would not have been possible if we were to do it in physical, right? It would have taken time. So now when we do sessions, we have people from all around the world, people from India, from different corners of the India. Like there are a lot of people from Maharashtra joining us, from Chennai, from Nagpur, from Bhopal. Like we never thought, that the people those corners, and they're joining us for our sessions. And it's just absolutely rewarding to see that those people are able to join us because we are virtual right now. And it's the same thing with conferences. Like I attend conferences, which happens in London right now, and I can attend it from here. And I've been also doing a keynote tomorrow with an organization which is an IT company which is based out in Bangalore, right? So it just somehow it is good in a way that I've been able to, and everyone will able to connect. So the connectivity has increased. There's a hyper connectivity. The challenges are, of course, there's a there's a screen fatigue, right? Like not everyone wants to sit in the front of the screen all the time. Like ask me, I'm not a screen person, but I think it's gonna be for some time. We're gonna balance it out. Now, hopefully, the vaccine is there. The things might get better. We probably have a good balance of physical and virtual going forward, wherein if you can't travel, that's okay. If you want to participate virtually, and if you want to have like a probably the physical experience for people like who are into physical experiences, they can do that as well. So that's what I have learned, that it was good for connectivity, while it is also sometimes as training. So I actually do short sessions sometimes. This is like in fact the longest session I've been doing. Usually my sessions are like 1 hour. I'm like, okay, nobody is like going to sit more than 1 hour, but I think let's do this because there was so much to talk about, and I thought it will at least take me 1 hour to talk, and it did. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we deal with a lot of creative students, and a lot of them are very, very passionate. In fact, they start off with sketching and doodling and things like that. So really, the journey is very interesting to see how you transitioned and how they can do that. But tell me something now. Doodling and say your profession, your UI UX, the jobs that you
Yeah.
take. Um, is there an influence that helps you perform better in your job, or do you see that kind of a relation that happens?
So so I think doodling is like a life skill, right? Uh, like speaking is a life skill, right? You have learned to speak or communicate or express, and it helps you everywhere. Like if you speak, it'll help you professionally, personally, in expressing your ideas, in having a discussion, or having just a very simple dialogue like this. It's the same thing with doodling. Doodling is actually a way of expression. It helps you express your ideas better. It helps you plan your days better visually. It helps you brainstorm better with your team. Also, like I said, it helps you be more mindful because that whole process of doing it is very mindful. So I think if you learn it like a life skill, it actually have implications into all the skills that we have. I use like my UX work is actually very, very different from other people's work because it's very sketchy in a way. I use a lot of sketches. I do a lot of sketches in my research also to show that, oh, this is what I observed, and probably should be considered in our UX research. Or let's say when we're designing something, I use some elements from our visual thinking to tell that this UI might work better if we have something in this way, like that. In fact, when I was studying and doing my master's thesis in IIT Bombay, the final comment I got from my jury member when I was presenting was that it's a very sketchy, uh, idea that you can see. We can see the rough raw idea that you had in mind and how you have worked on that to create the finished product, right? So that is the feedback that I got, and that was actually very different because sometimes people just focus on the final product, like you see all these shiny screens of the UI. But if you can also explain the process behind it, maybe in a very interesting visual way, it just helps everyone understand it better. So that's my idea behind it. That if you learn doodling, it's probably going to help you in a lot of things, not just UI. If you are a take any field of creativity. If you're in media profession, if you're a product designer, fashion designer, graphic designer, I don't know, like everywhere you can have this skill that you can use. So that's what my thinking is. Okay, so Dion, I think I lost your voice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. So it's very interesting to note. I mean, you mentioned earlier as well that while you were in your class 12 in the biology, and you use that to explain your thoughts. Um, I don't think that strikes many students that they can, graphically explain as well their answers. It's a very interesting thought process, and I think a very risky one as well at that point of time, at that stage in your life. But yeah, um, would you like to show some of your websites that you've worked on just to get an idea?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think a lot of my work from Microsoft is confidential because being a corporate. So I'll show you something that I did before that to give you an idea of the process that I followed to do my UX work. So let me just share my screen, and then let me take you right into Behance to show you how I have done. So Behance is my UX design work. That's where you can come and see my work. So if you come to Behance and write behance.com_Sony, that should be my ID. Okay, so let's just check. Yes, so it's behance.net/Sony. That's what you'll basically land here, which is my UX page. Okay, now let me show you one of the very interesting things that we did. And I think this one is a good example of what I do. So this is something I did for a tablet, and it's actually called, it's a monthly budget planner. Okay, you can see how the process was done. So the challenge was that because of busy life, a lot of people don't keep an idea of their monthly utility bills. Sometimes they miss paying that. Sometimes, let's say if you're a bachelor, you have a budget, your monthly bills can go up. And how can we come up with an application that helps someone to keep a tab on that? And it's supposed to be a tablet application, and then that was the user need that we identified, that probably if you can keep them updated, it will be a very interesting design goal. So the design goal was to create something that was clutter free, because they already are very cluttered. So it has to be very, very clear visuals of that. It has to be intuitive. That's the key requirement for the UI, and has to be efficient. So I got on to my drawing boards, and then this is after doing some research with the people. I came up with these ideas, which was like expressed here visually. So you'll see, like one of them, it was playful. Then there was one can create visual tiles. Then we took some example from abacus, the way of counting for children, and then something that could be based on the concurrent mood of something. So like I marked them here, how I was visually thinking based on the requirements, what was available to me, and if you can think of something which could be stuck by as a very intuitive and efficient way. So I think we shortlisted on this concurrent way, that the bill that repeats every month. So can we do that as a concurrent way of showing it, that every way it's a wave. If the wave is equal, you means you're doing fine. But the waves go up and down, that means that you have something happening in your budget which is not right. And then of course did some color themes, took some pastel shades and stuff like that. The first thing that we did was to create the wireframes. It's very important because the structure of your application. So we did the wireframing, keeping in mind the 4 basic needs that people need to pay. One of them is rent. The other one is telephone bills or landline bills, Wi-Fi bills, and your credit card bills. The 4, of course, users can add more. And then at the bottom, we added this really interesting visualization to show the graph of how you have been doing for last, let's say, months, for last 3-4 months, to you understand that is your budget going fine. So that happens that we keep paying, but you don't know how much you paid last month or last month, and that becomes a problem. And it's a visual problem solving method that we're using here. Also, there's some more infographics they can use, like pie charts and all, to understand if they want to dive deep into. Okay, so after that, we worked on the first UI part of it, which you see here, right? Now, this is the screen, like let's say Siri. Yeah, she is the name of the user. As soon as he comes here, he'll see that he has 4 bills and the electricity bill is not paid yet and the date is approaching. This is his budget, which is 9,000 rupees that time. And then we have this wave, which shows that how his budget has been coming for electricity. And then he can actually, for example, just slide on to the left and see his notes, have some analytics about it, and then of course settings, keeping it very, very minimal, because the idea of this application was just keep them updated and probably help them pay their bills. So they come here, they say, oh, they want to pay their electricity bill. They click on it, they see the details, which is also very visual, that how much kilowatt they assumed in March and now in April, and then probably a receipt of the bill, and then they can pay now to see everything is taken care, like that, as simple as that. And then if you see the elements, like once you're clicking on the electricity part, you have the television, broadband, and fuel going up. So you have those at the top, but your main section is electricity. Let's say if I click on broadband, then you have the broadband thing. So very, very simple, intuitive way of keeping yourself. And at the below, you can of course see that sinusoidal wave to tell you if everything is fine. Sometimes it can go up, like you can see here in this one on the top, and it says that you're going over budget with your broadband, so you get a notification for that. So it's a budget planner app for your bills, and it has its own benefits. And this is a form factor in mobile phone, that how it will look like that. So starting from here, it was a very, very visual way of thinking it from here. And we thought we'll take the idea of the wave and see if that can help us keeping our budget planner help, probably more efficient. And that's how it was worked. So this was done as a prototype for one of the Microsoft applications, and then now it's a full-fledged application, and lot of inspiration that was taken from this. So one of the examples of that, or for example, I did something like a visual interface for it's called Social Compass. It's an application for mobile that helps you find what's around you based on your interests and personalities. And it is like exploring a new city or a city that you're revisiting with the help of the application. So I'll show you the video for this if I have, and that might help you understand how it worked. So I don't know if I have the video for this, but the idea is that if you're in a place, it will basically gives you a sense of what's around you, and you can chat with your friends if they're around, or you can just see more information and see a map and then just go and visit that place like that. So some of the visual thinking, how I applied in my UI UX. So all of my UI UX work also reflect a lot of visual thinking and doodling. So just you can come and have a look. There are a lot of projects which I did, and I'll keep populating this as well.
Fantastic. So yeah, so there's a question from Jeff and Joseph, okay, who's asking, when did you realize that doodling was the way ahead for you? How did you figure that out? Yeah.
Sure. So thank you, and that's a really good question again, because it can ask a lot of times. So I think I've been doing it somehow. It also was because I was like a little introvert in my childhood, right? I was a quiet guy who would not talk much, but I would also keep writing something or drawing something. I didn't know I was doodling in that time. But then once I did it in 12th, and I got passed out of that, like I got, I actually saw that if you can use visuals, it helps communicate your idea. At that point of time, it was a realization that I want to do this for my life. And I kept trying it in different ways. Like I said, like in my interviews, I actually don't write. I actually just draw and show it to them. And they were like, okay. One of the interviews for my Samsung company, I actually did something where they asked me to design an application, and I just made a very few sketches to show the before and after version of how users are feeling after using that app. And yeah, and internship was offered to me. So I think one thing that happened with me was I was looking for an outlet, because probably at that time I didn't find reading and writing as one of the main things for me. I thought there was something else that I can use to express myself, and that was doodling. So now, of course, I talk a lot, and I also get to write a lot. I write blogs and all, but it has become a balanced thing. But that time I used to do just doodling, and that was a moment of realization. And then I kept reinforcing it. I kept telling myself that, oh, is it working or it's not working? If it's not working, what is not working? How can I make it better? So at every stage in my life, I just try to use it and improve on it, and that's how I have reached here. So that was a moment of realization.
Awesome. And and I was just curious, like, how important is doodling? Now, a lot of our kids are going from, say, now class 11, 12 into design school, and they're going to spend the next 4 years there. So, how important is the doodling aspect when you get into design school? Because, of course, in design school, they do teach a lot of fine art as well,
Yes.
but the doodling is more, what I understand, related to idea generation and creating a thought flow, right? So
Yeah.
it's your initial sketch. So how
Yes.
important is that?
Uh, so think of it like this. Let's say if you go to your faculty, and it happened with me in design school. I was supposed to design a teacup, a teacup for a user of special need, and I just went to the teacher, and then I started explaining my idea. Okay, and he's like, "Oh, where are your sketches?" And I'm like, "Oh, I actually didn't think of the sketches right now. Think of the idea." And my faculty said, "How can you think of idea without a sketch?" You know, it's very, very important to get started with your sketching or drawing as soon as there's an idea in your head, because sometimes what we think is that we have it in our mind, so we need not to like sketch it or write it or something. But once you start uh, to doodle or sketch, it just gives you 100 different ideas with that, or let's say permutation and combination with that. I had this idea which I thought was a really good idea, but once I started doodling, I call it doodle thinking. It just started coming that I can actually do, oh, from this I can also do this and do that and do that, and that's how the idea kept getting better. And I think after our third iteration, I was surprised that I could have never thought of that idea if I never did the initial sketching. You know, if I would just sketch what I finalized, how will I do exploration? And exploration can only happen once your ideas or sketches are very, what do you say, very rough. You need not to like do a very fine art style idea, because that's for your final one. But you need to do something like this, like, okay, I'm thinking something, this is coming out of my head, this is holding in my hand, probably this is how the cup might look, this is the smell of the cup from the things coming out of it. All these things, when you start putting, that's when the idea comes. And also, as a designer, I think the most important thing is being unique. I think that's why you get paid, right? Because only you can think of those things that other people can't. And let's say if there are 100 designers, how will you stand out in that field as well? So doodling helps you identify your authenticity and uniqueness as well, because you understand your way of thinking. You see your way of thinking in front of you on the sheet of paper. You understand how that's how I think. It just helps you understand with a self realization that this is my thinking process, this is my design process, and this is authentic Rohit Soni design that I'm designing. So I think that's how doodling sort of helps. You can say doodling could be like a pre-sketching thing. When you start sketching, just before that, do some idea generation, do some doodling, or it could be also a very random connection of ideas that they say when you doodle, you're actually combining your left brain with right brain, because you're thinking, but you're also sketching, right? So it's like you're using both the brains to create something. So that's where I see the importance of doodling for designers. I think it's an immense, immense opportunity and use once you start doing it.
Right, absolutely. Cool. So, right. So we've covered the journey from your thought process to your school to your design aspect to the design school aspect, and a little bit about your profession. Now, the when it comes to keynotes, okay, capturing keynotes, there is so much discussed in a keynote. There is so much, so many points. How do you capture the essence of so many points within that fraction of time?
Sure. Oh, that's a great question, Leon. Now, how do I do it? So it's a really interesting to, in fact, like see how it's getting done in real life. Even I get surprised. But then I realized, like, how do you read a book? If you pay attention to how you read a book, you actually never read, the whole word. You actually read, just the beginning of the word or a sentence, and then you switch to the next, part of the sentence, and then you make sense of that. And that's how you read. They actually did some research to see how people read, and no one actually read from like word to word. They actually switch very fast between the sentences and phrases to make sense what is has been written in the book. And that's why there's sometimes you don't realize that you have a spelling mistake sometimes in the books, or sometimes some word is missing. Even though the words are missing, you can still make sense, right? It's like our brain is really good at understanding patterns. They can understand what do you mean by something. Even if I write, let's say, if I write elephant, I'll write ELPH, and they basically brain will understand you mean elephant. It's that smart. So when I'm listening, that's what happens to me. My brain is active for those key words that the keynote person or the leader is talking about, and then it starts to form the connection. So when Satya Nadella is talking about empowering people to create their best in their life, so what I hear is like empowering people best life, and then I make sense that what he's trying to say. So I keep my one side of brain. I don't know. It's probably with practice that I keep hearing those words, and it gets collected and then goes in my mind. The visuals get formed, and I just make something out of that. So that I think happened with practice. I teach that in my workshops as well, where I show them something which has lot of information, lot of heavy information stuff, and I say just doodle what you remember from that. Or I show them 20 different patterns, and I say, okay, now you close that slide and you draw the patterns that you remember. And it's basically a very good exercise for your brain to practice observation and memory. So I think it sort of comes from that. And I do it. I've seen other people doing it as well. Some of them are really good. Some of them are just beginning and they're starting with it. And it's a different way, but that's how it gets done. It's just trusting your mind that it will capture it, and then using your visual skill to represent it.
Right, that's cool. So, Sangeeta Rajni is asking. She's mentioning, in fact, I sketch all the time. I did not know it was such a big field. Is there any formal learning process? So, what is the learning process that you take people through in your workshops?
Okay, very interesting. So I think every doodling, if I show you my formal learning process of doodling I've designed, it starts with observation. And observation is I think, the biggest skill a designer can have. Because if you see all the good designers of the world, they are really good in observation and details, and that's why they are good. So the first session which I take is always on observation, and it's called observation doodling. And I show some pictures and I ask people to observe them, and then ask them questions about it, and then do some exercises and later on like that. So one is observation, the first part. The second is imagination, which is called imagination doodling. Then this is the basic doodling workshop. Then we have advanced. Then in advanced we have abstract doodling, and then we have doodle thinking. And then in the final one, we have therapeutic doodling, which is about understanding how you feel about something, and then you doodle it like that. So it's a 5-part workshop that we do as part of our doodle journey. Like starting from the basics of it to finding your own style. Okay. Then if you are like asking about a general sketching thing, I think probably Dion can answer that as well. We were actually taken through a lot of practice in sketching right from first year. I think in fact first 2 years was the most, when you have the grilling sessions where you do lot of sketching, and then you keep getting better with your sketches, and then of course you apply it in your thinking. So for doodling, you can probably go and check my website. It's called rohitsoni.co, and in Doodles with Sony, you will see the whole structure. So it says observation, imagination, abstract, and therapeutic doodling. So that's how we help people elevate their sketching doodling style. I hope I answered your question, Sangeeta. Let me know if there's anything else. Yeah.
Yes. So Sangeeta has been a big follower of all these
Nice.
of the E-Meet, and her questions are always very interesting. Right. So Rohit, right. So when it comes down to the final aspect of you and your advice to students pursuing a career in design or creativity, things like that, I mean, what would you kind of recommend that they do, as a normal practice, to get into their school and of course in their profession as well?
Sure. I think what I have observed from my own experience is being authentic and unique is something that everyone should strive for. Like there are 100 of designs out there, but I think if you can bring a change, it's by only because you can think of that thing like that. Like Steve Jobs has said, right? Like it's the way you look at the world is the way is the world is. Like for everyone else, the world could be same, but if you have a very different point of view of looking at the world, you're gonna create something that is different. So be authentic, like be authentic, find your style, like understand yourself as a person, how do you think. And I think if you focus on this as as an individual and as a design practitioner, I think it will just help you become a better designer by the end of the day, and probably have your own style. Like even product designers have their own style. Like Philip Stark is one of the designers of the industry. He's an French designer, I guess. He has amazing style of his own. He does emotional style, for example. Or take Steve Jobs, who is not a designer but has seen the tech industry, from a very different point of view. Minimalistic designs, function over form, and things like that. So have your own way of looking at the world. Like how do I look at the world, and identify that look, and then apply that in all the work that you do, be it product design, industrial design, graphic design, UX design, fashion design. And I think you can see that it's working for you. That's what I've realized. Also, like just focus on your strengths. Always see what's the best you have. Forget about your weaknesses. Work on them once you have already strength. You've identified your strength and worked on that. So weaknesses can also keep working on it, like slowly, but don't focus on becoming something where you actually don't enjoy doing something, but focus on the things you really enjoy. Doesn't matter if it's any field which is not in demand right now, let's say which probably don't give you a good job aspect, but if you're really good in it, I'm sure you will get opportunities, and I'm sure you will do something which is worth doing as a designer. Because as a designer, we are not supposed to like Just be one more designer. You're supposed to be different and do something different for this world and for yourself. So that's what I can say as a departing note to all the budding upcoming designers.
I think fantastic sound advice. I think uh, two key things that you mentioned. One is be unique, and the second thing is you said work on your strengths. I mean, that's something a lot of people don't do. They keep their strengths aside and work on their weaknesses. But you made a fantastic point that you need to work on your strengths. So, Rohit, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board here. Um, very nice, very interesting webinar and discussion with you, and I'm sure it's been very inspirational to a lot of people here. So thank you so much for taking the time out and coming here, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot more from you. Right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dion, for inviting me. It was an absolute pleasure. I know we like how we met each other was like accidental in Bangalore, and now we are here
Yeah,
having this session. So I'm sure there's something that we connect on, and I look forward to like collaborate with you in future as well for anything. And for everyone who wants to like probably reach out to me or Dion, just let us know. I think it'd be super cool to do something together as well.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Rohit. We'll be in touch. All right. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Rohit.